Mr Deputy Speaker, I move that the 77th report of the Public Works Committee for the 54th Parliament entitled Renmark High School Redevelopment Project be noted. Mr Deputy Speaker, as you'll be aware, established in 1925, Renmark High School serves the local Renmark and Paringa communities. The high school requires capital works in order to support the expected future growth in student enrolment numbers, including the transition of Year 7 students to high school in 2022. Mr Deputy Speaker, the current school site also has aged relocatable accommodation requiring demolition, and the school was allocated funding of $5 million as part of the Department for Education's Capital Works program. The proposed scope of the high school redevelopment project includes a major refurbishment extending to the existing administration complex, refurbishment of the existing student services facility to create a new student services office, a librarian office and library reception desk, refurbishment of existing administration facilities to create new creative teaching spaces and offices, and refurbishment of the existing office facility overall. The scope of works will also include services upgrades to existing buildings, such as new air conditioning, lighting and ceiling replacement, and landscaping to the school entry area, ancillary to the works that are being undertaken overall. And when complete, the Renmark High School redevelopment project will accommodate 680 students, including Year 7 students as earlier observed. The Renmark High School redevelopment project will be staged with construction expected to be completed by June 2021. Now, Mr Deputy Speaker, the committee examined written evidence in relation to the project and received assurances that the appropriate consultation in relation to this project had been undertaken, and the committee is satisfied that the project does meet the criteria for the examination of projects as described in the Parliamentary Committees Act 1991. And having regard to the evidence considered and pursuant to Section 12C of the Act earlier mentioned, the Public Works Committee reports to Parliament that it does recommend the proposed scope of the public works I have described.
Verchavy.
Talking Renmark. Yeah, thank you, sir. And I'd like to rise just for a small contribution with Renmark High School as one of the high schools in the Riverland, and very, very proud. I had one of my children attended there for a couple of years before heading on down to Adelaide to finish his schooling career. But I think Renmark is a very, very proud school. It has very much a very diverse, multicultural background. But I guess over the years it has been located, right close to the banks of the beautiful River Murray. But the students, as I said, from very different cultural backgrounds and walks of life, they have been very, very well regarded with their academia and their sporting achievements. And I guess over time, I've been very, very proud to be a part of that school community, whether it's helping coaching sporting teams or whether it's there giving support to the athletics. But I guess in 2019 I was proud to be invited to officially opening the new state-of-the-art STEM facility, and I thank the Minister for Education for asking me to do that, because it gave me an opportunity to again reconnect with that school and continue to I guess foster the good relationship with the principal, Matt Evans. And I think Matt is doing an outstanding job. We must, I guess, acknowledge the Marshall Liberal government for its foresight and its support to all of the education system here in South Australia, but very much importantly is the regions. And the regions have again been reborn within education to see the upgrades of our schools through different programs. Not only the STEM facility, but all of the upgrade, the opportunities that the schools now have with a government that is looking to govern for all of the education system right around the state. I guess the new development, it's a $5 million upgrade, 26 trades involved, and it comes with, I guess, a lot of beautification upgrades, whether it's fixtures and fittings that are upgraded. The school, I think, are very much appreciative. It gives them the opportunity to not only put some beautification in there, but to give a little bit more ownership of that school to the students and make it a better learning institution. So obviously getting ready for the transition of Year 7 into high school by 2022, and I think everyone is on board there. There are a number of schools. I think in the Renmark area there could be 6 schools that feed into Renmark High. But the new student services reception and offices are part of the upgrades, the new learning, creative learning classrooms, the counselling offices and the breakout spaces. And I know that Minister Gardner and I have visited Renmark High to have a look at those upgrades, and I think the teachers, the students, everyone's very proud of it. And as the Renmark community, they are too, as part of it's one of the great learning beacons in the area. So, the refurbishment of the home economics classroom and the physical education offices, new mechanical extraction system in the tech studies area, replacing air conditioning in a number of the buildings, and of course some of the ageing infrastructure and asbestos removal is all part of that. So look, it's a clear indication of what the government's commitment is to the long-term future of our regional schools and education. I'd like to thank the school community as a whole for their patience and flexibility. Thank the Minister for his foresight in supporting Renmark High, and wish all of the students a good year, a good learning year, particularly in these uncertain times.
Minister for Education.
Thank you, sir. It's a great pleasure to be able to talk about the project that's underway at Renmark High, and I'm very much looking forward to. I hope that I'll have the opportunity later in this year to come out to Renmark, hopefully in term 3, to join the member for Chafee in formally opening these fantastic new facilities, which I know the member has been calling for since his election at the same time as my election in 2010. I remember at that time his interest there, and for a number of years he's been pushing for it. We were grateful when the former government had this on the list of the schools that had that initial influx of capital works money in 2017. Of course, a list that we have substantially added to since, but this is a project that was clearly very much needed, and we are pleased to be delivering it. I commend the staff at Renmark High and the School Governing Council, who the member for Chafee and I were very pleased to engage with when I was there in July. I know he does so on a regular basis. They were very excited about the enhancements, the improvements. One of the key things that I recall that a number of teachers and students reflected on was the entrance to the school, which is currently in a way that it doesn't show the school necessarily in its best light to people who are coming in. And the new entrance, the way that it's going to be shifted and designed and landscaped, is, I think, really going to show off the pride in public education that people in Renmark and the Riverland have in that school, and really show the school off in its best light. The students that we engaged with were optimistic about their future. There's great teaching and learning that goes on at this school, and the enhancement to the facilities will make that work easier. So to Principal Matthew Evans, to the architect, Brett Julian Architects, to the builder, Big River Developments, thank you for that work that is being undertaken. I won't go through all of the details of the building works. I think that the casual reader of Hansard is welcome to go through the member for Chafee's remarks, which I was listening to, which were an outstanding summary. I'm sure the member for Carvel's were as well. But other than to say that I'm really pleased that this work is underway. It's part of the Marshall Liberal Government's $1.3 billion work in the infrastructure in schools space. It's providing lots of jobs, and it's enhancing educational facilities around South Australia. And I think that when we see this work complete, the people of Renmark will have the confidence that they have in this school only enhanced.
The member for Carvel speaks. He closes debate.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, and I acknowledge and thank the member for Chafee and also the member for Morialta for their contribution. The member for Chafee has been a passionate and determined advocate for this school community for many, many years. In fact, since before his election, and it's right to observe that his son was at the school for a time that he was coaching that he has a strong interest in athletics and other community sports, and that he's built a very important and lasting connection to this school community. And now, of course, as the member for Chaffey, has been able to bring to bear his good knowledge and judgment in relation to the school's needs, and to see through not only a STEM upgrade, but of course the works that in the course of the remarks this morning we've described to the House. I know that he's been working very closely with the School Governing Council and the Principal, Matt Evans, and it's right to acknowledge their passion and commitment for their school community and their detailed and effective advocacy in ensuring that the needs of the school community has been met, as demonstrated by the public works that are now being committed to and seen through by the Minister. Can I emphasise too and amplify the remarks of the member for Chaffey in relation to this government's commitment to public education in the regions? A school community is an essential part of a wider country community. It's not the only institution in country communities, but a school is an incredibly valuable institution. And well outside the scope of education, that institution helps bind that community together and provide a meeting place and a place for community to build, for community sport, and of course at times of crisis, a place to meet as well, for instance in the course of bushfires or at times of other need. And when of course there are visiting government agencies and other needs to bring communities together, it's often a school hall or school facilities that are used to ensure that that can take place. So I want to place on record my thanks as presiding member of the Public Works Committee to the member for Chaffey for his commitment to seeing this project through and his commitment to his community more widely, and also acknowledge the vision and passion and commitment of the Minister, who has had an extraordinary task in the life of this Parliament to see through a very, very substantial building works, capital works program for public education in South Australia. We are very appreciative.
Member for Carville has closed debate. Is the motion seconded? Thank you. All those in favour say aye. Those against say no. That's carried.